Phoneybeetlemaniacxs here in the week once again. This is going out to Losoyo. He made a couple of days ago, well, about a couple of weeks ago, a video about presuppositionalism. Now, me, Michael, and Losoyo have, all three of us, discussed this at length. In which I've made my position very clear that there's a difference between what Sye Ten brigade is and actual presuppositionalism. There's a galaxy of difference. Which is why, whenever I say presuppositionalism this, I just ignore it, because frankly they don't know what presuppositionalism is. Even if you think presuppositionalism is the worst argument for anything ever, if you don't understand it, then you can't really say that. Sorry, it's like me going, well, I think the Nietzschean argument for against God is poor, and I hadn't heard it. I have heard the Nietzschean argument for God. Again, just because somebody recites something doesn't mean that is the actual representation of it. With presuppositionalism, what do you mean? Because there's many iterations of it. There's hard presuppositionalism, there's soft presuppositionalism, there's even evidentiary presuppositionalism. So what are you talking about? You're talking about presuppositionalism as a whole. Everybody uses presuppositional argumentation in their outlook. And I'll give you an example here, Losoyo. Let's say, for example, an atheist discussion with a theist, and the theist will say, well, I have no reason to believe in your deity because it follows what I know about X, Y, and Z. That's presuppositionalism. They're taking what they know about the real world and presupposing it onto the unknown. They're saying that God has the same sort of patterns of things that we used to not know. Therefore, it's presupposing that the rest of what we consider reality is going to follow that particular pattern. That is what's called evidentiary presuppositionalism. And it is something that is used by both atheists and Christians. As Christians will tend to use the universe and say it looks from very well that it's been designed and blah, yada, yada, yada. That is evidentiary presuppositionalism. Okay? Soft presuppositionalism is taking the worldview that the atheists are wrong, but are not inherently irrational when they come to their. But like, for example, people can interpret things in different ways and come to things from different perspectives. You know, come from different backgrounds, different world, educational levels, things like that, and read things very differently. That is what's called soft presuppositionalism. It's where you take your biases and apply them to whatever. But again, it is presuppositionalism nonetheless. Hard presuppositionalism is saying that Christianity is the only way to have a rational worldview of the world. Now, some atheists use this as well, because what they do, they'll say, well, you're delusional, or you're irrational, or you're unreasonable if you're Christian, because you're reasonable in every other way apart from the way that you look at the world. That is an argument that many Christians will be familiar with. That is a presupposition. That's a presupposition that you're rational in every other thing in your life, just apart from that one thing, and that you're irrational about that. That's a presupposition. The presupposition that you're wrong and they're right. And presuppositional apologetics is the honing of that idea that we know what is true or what is correct in a way that, let's say, for example, that we can. Now, people will say, "Oh, will you debate me on presuppositional apologetics?" No. And here's the reason why. If you don't know what you're talking about, it's a waste of my time. I'm not going to debate somebody who thinks I'm Sye Ten or thinks I support what Sye Ten does. I'll make this very clear and very crystal. I do not support or will never support what Sye Ten does. Sye Ten is basically the intellectual equivalent of a call centre employee. He works for a script, and if it's not on the paper, he basically goes back to the script. He has no understanding how to engage in a proper discussion. He has no understanding of the presuppositional argument, and he has no understanding of human beings. And again, this is the, you could, if he's an atheist, he'd have the same problem. He'd be doing the same sort of thing, in which he'd be trying to get you into these word games and try to put these got your ideas through you, and not actually trying to interact with you one-on-one like a true human being. Okay? What he does is a bit of hard presuppositionalism tied in with a little bit of the new atheist ideals, should we say, in that, if you control somebody into believing, then they're going to believe something. Yeah, he's basically taken the new atheist tactics and used it against them, who were taking fundamentalist tactics and used it against them. It's all complete total circle fuck. And here's the thing I want to ask you, James. Don't you presuppose that what you know about the Bible, what you know about God, what you know about the world, whatever, is true? How is that not a presupposition? You presuppose a lot of things. You presuppose that Jesus was just and everything he said was correct and right. He could have been the opposite of that. He could have been a villain going against the kind Pharisees who do nothing but trying to maintain honour. These are all things that we presuppose, and everyone presupposes something. Again, the thing is, James, is that we have to understand that presuppositional apologetics is not a bad argument. It's just that sometimes people who are bad arguers use it. Anyway, this is Phoneybeetlemaniacxs, 4 Dreams, Welcome True, out.